Wow, you guys are fast. Not even a minute in. We're gangsters. Sangster gangsters. Satsangsters. Satsangsters. Spiritual gangsters. My coffee's extra strong today, so it might be a wild one. Hi, Peter. Peter, I used your your last email as my pinned tweet. Are you still listening to Zen people? Yeah, if there's no conclusion, then it's just more samsara, right? It's like there's no end, right? Like, so I spent a decade as a Zen Buddhist, and I think Peter's gone through some Buddhist phases. So maybe we can help you with this and just tell you to just skip that. Zen is not the final teaching. Well, if there's no end, then what's the point? People have lost sight of what samsara is, like, and nirvana. See, these are people that don't understand timelessness. They formulate their model using time. So I don't think they understand timelessness and the absolute. Because if they're still talking about time, then yeah, of course. But you can't frame the reference of spirituality in time. The absolute isn't within time. So these people, I don't think have had, I don't know, I don't get it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very intellectual religion. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Zen people have really done a good job of propping themselves up as being, ooh, like the top guys. But they're just trying to outwit themselves, I think. They're trying to use mind to get past mind. And I don't understand it. Why don't you just stop? Like, what's the point in meditation? You're going to interrupt your meditation with a koan so you can get past thinking to get back to meditation? Doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, all that is just basically just transcending thought, right? It's just a poetic way of getting to the end of thought. Like I just had Ramana just said, just get rid of thought. Just and I said, yeah, okay. And that's it. That was it. If you come to the conclusion, then you don't need more thoughts to try to convince you to transcend thought, right? So you're using thought to transcend thought, but while you're using thought, you're engaged in thought. You see the trap. See, spiritual practice is stilling the mind, silencing that voice. And every time you search for some sort of spiritual teaching, what are you doing? You're engaging the mind. So engaging in spiritual teaching is exactly not spirituality. It's just practice. Once you come to realize the truth, it just all shifts to practice. There's no more seeking. You don't need any more convincing. You just practice. And then when you find the bliss, you'll go, oh yeah, this is the best, period. And then you just naturally want to keep coming to back to the bliss because it's bliss. And it's the natural state. So when you stop doing things, the natural state is bliss or Satchitananda. All the Europeans are in the house. Yeah, it's the same at Peter's, I think. Isn't it 7 o'clock at your place too, Peter? Peter, how'd your job interview go? If you get it, will you have holidays by August? You already have all of July and part of August booked off? Oh, yeah, we'll make it happen. I think whoever wants to show up will show up. Universe will make it so. Yeah, I think Alan Watts has put it forth as a game before. I think he's used that analogy before, hide and seek, even. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So God is playing hide and seek with itself. If there's only one, there's just one, whatever you want to call it, one awareness, one consciousness, one beingness. So any apparent plurality in the singularity must be an illusion because the reality is just singularity. So if the natural state is that of knowing and awareness, then the apparent ignorance must be an illusion, it must be chosen, and it must be temporary. And those qualities, I believe, describe play, right? Play is temporary, play is illusory, it's just pretend. Temporary, illusory, and a choice, right? It's a choice to play. So, yeah, this is the best described as a game. Well, we can't lose sight that this is the final concluding truth. Like, this is the greatest revelation in history. So, I keep telling Paige that the good fortune that Paige and I have had here and in our lives, I believe that if this is a game, then unlocking that present or whatever it is within a game, that Easter egg, unlocking that mystery, I think provided me and Paige with, I don't know, like a prize. You get whoever the first human is to discover the greatest revelation in history might get some preferential treatment, right? I'm just trying to understand how it is that I live in absolute fucking paradise, right? Without hardly any effort. So the universe has plans for us. This is the greatest revelation in history. It's not going away. if God is for us, who can be against us? So in the Bible, in the Revelation, isn't it like the secret number is 144,000? Aren't there's some story about 144,000 of Christ followers will get teleported up, I think, right? So I wouldn't be surprised that this is the second coming, not me, right? The message is the second coming. And that non-conceptuality will end up having 144,000 followers. Wouldn't that be neat? God's chosen. Don't tell the Jews, though. Well, the understanding of it is to find the bliss yourself. Once you found the bliss, the Satchitananda yourself, I'm pretty sure all of your answers, all of your questions will be answered. But I don't think you've found self yet. So that's what this is. That's what me sitting here is. This, right? Me sitting here is the expression of Satchitananda. So you're not really in a state of Satchitananda. Satchitananda is your state, the natural state. This is the tool that we need to figure this out. Yeah, so we're very, very distracted. We got completely distracted and took the wrong path, the wrong fork in the road there. And following technology and the voice in the head ended up being kind of a dead end here. Yeah. Literally a dead end. Oh. All these other realms that are projected through these devices they're not a part of this realm. They're part of our past. We're devolving. We're messing around in our past, I believe. I don't think God even knows what this is going to produce. That's the point of it all. Numa, don't get me started on Numa, you winker. Well, I guess breath is just another expression of the Tao. There's breath, which is Tao, which is life, and there's the yin and the yang. It all comes down to the fundamental model of reality, doesn't it? Everything is an expression of the fundamental model of reality. When you break it down, it produces a triune system. There's the thing, the thing, and then the two aspects of the thing that make the thing. So breath is inhalation and exhalation. So everything's metaphor. You see, right? Like even physical experience is producing a message, a clue that's metaphor, right? Even a physical black hole is metaphor. Just it's as real or unreal as the black hole that's in a mathematical equation, right? So it's all metaphor, all of it. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Or not. Yeah, the reality is that which the reality is the can't be described any fuller or more complete or comprehensive than just the positive and the negative, right? Like that is its full expression. A curve is concave, convex. That's all. But yeah, so the state of superposition itself is the Tao, which is beyond definition, beyond the yin yang. So that's it. You can't, if you try to describe the yang in greater detail, it will pop out yin yang, right? So you try to explain just the negative part, it'll pop out another positive and a negative. And so it goes turtles all the way. The reality the reality isn't a metaphor. The reality is just that which cannot be described, that which is not, or that which cannot be described. It's just that which is not described. That's the reality. And that's why we sit in thought free awareness, because thoughts are an attempt to describe what's going on. Everything that is described is metaphor of that, of the reality. But you can't comprehend the reality, right? Like that. Tao, one word, Tao, right? And the Tao that can be named is not the true eternal Tao. And the Tao that can be named is yin yang. But that's where it ends. It just, there's three aspects to the fundamental model of reality. And the two appearances, the duality is the projection of the illusion. That is the description of the reality. I can't write, the words don't do it. It's the sitting, it's the stillness. I think that Paige and Roy are the perfect yin yang relationship. I think so. And you know why? Is because we're not trying to fix each other. The yin, she is not trying to manipulate or change me at all. And I'm not trying to change her at all. We are both focused on the reality, which is yeah. The relationship between concave is with curve, and the relationship of convex is with curve. The convex and the concave aren't controlling each other. Yeah, well, yeah. Even though Elon himself has said that the chance that this is fundamental reality is 1 in a billion. That's what he said in an interview one day. He said that this is probably a simulation, or that the odds that this reality is base reality is 1 in a billion. That's what he said. And yet he still wants, like, he recognizes that. So, well, then don't you recognize that you're just playing around in the illusion? Don't you want to find base reality? You'd think that he would want to find base reality instead of messing around in the simulation. Something to do, though. I mean, if you think that you're saving the human species, then that would convince someone that it's a pretty important goal in life, but it isn't. It's just more samsara. Yeah, so it's inward. He needs to be moving inward, not out to Mars. He needs to be following his own consciousness into his own experience. The the screen is really, really addictive. Yeah, well, you exist while you're in pain. So some people would rather hold on to their pain than try to transcend the ego. Yeah, like with The Sims, when you start your character, you assign it certain traits, and it will act in accordance to those traits as the program sees fit, right? As it's programmed to do. So Roy Dobson has qualities that is programmed into the character, but that's not self. So yeah, there is no separately existing I. It's more like a program, but again, that's just a metaphor again. Mm-hmm. Or just like when you're playing a video game, you can say, I'm going to run over there and take that tank out or whatever. If you're playing a first person shooter. But the I is just referencing the character, right? The video game character. You're not really literally saying that you are going to jump into the screen and do anything, right? You just use the word I as in reference to the character. And it's the same thing here. I is not the self. The one on the stairs, she's the mouser. Callie, she doesn't catch mice. She's too old. Yeah, isn't that a coincidence? Is that I and one are a line. And that string theory says that everything comes from lines, strings. Yeah, zero is actually the perfect expression of singularity, not one, right? Zero is actually the expression of singularity. So zero is not nothing. Zero is the potential of one to appear as more than one. See, there's no such thing as non-existence. Zero actually is expressing singularity. And one has poles. So one is not expressing singularity. One is expressing duality. So again, we've got it all messed up, don't we? Well, one has poles, right? Like there is a dualistic quality to the number one. Whereas a circle, there's no distinction, right? It's actually an expression of singularity, zero. So again, unfortunately, we have quantity jammed into our heads, but there's no such thing as quantity. One does not refer to, there's no quantity in one, is there? One is not a quantity. Quantity needs more than one, right? So, Like the Ouroboros. Yeah. And a donut. Well, a Taurus. And the Mobius strip. Yeah, anything past the duality. See, that's what's happening, right? Is that materialists and physics and science has removed the third aspect. They've removed the actual reality out of it. So now they're trying to just bootstrap the system itself as a Ponzi scheme, right? So one mirror image is trying to reinforce the other mirror image to be reality, and it's just bouncing forth, back and forth to create a Ponzi scheme to bootstrap itself out of nothing. But you can't. There has to be potential there. So there isn't nothing, there's just one thing, and the one thing is represented by zero. It's like they're trying to just have Atman without Brahman, right? They're just trying to say there's only Atman, there is no Brahman. The reality is the reflection in the mirror. That's where they're starting. Physics starts with the assumption that the reflection in the mirror is the reality, and not seeing the reality, which is the thing that's looking into the mirror, which is the spirit. They can't see that, right? Physics can't see that, so therefore they don't think it exists. So they're stuck with this image that has no base, and they're trying to find the base of the image, and that's what all of physics is. They're trying to prove that the image in the mirror is the reality, but it isn't. The physics just describes the mirror realm. That's all physics does, is project the mirror realm. And all of physics is the endeavor to try to prove that the mirror image is reality. And they won't stop until they blow up the whole fucking world. Yes. Okay. Peter and Solution Seeker are here at the same time. Is this new? Is this new? This is new. You guys have never met, have you? Haha. Okay. My two generals in the army, in the non-conceptual army. The only two people I think that have ever quoted me back to me. So if we can, Solution Seeker, I'm trying to organize a time for a group of us to meet here next year, August-ish. You guys are in too, but to be honest, you don't get it at that level. I can tell by the way you guys talk is that it's okay. You're here and you're getting it. You just don't quite get it at the level that these two dudes do. Yeah, you guys got to work on that. Work on the legalities of it. Just get to Prince George. If you can find out how much it costs to fly to Prince George, British Columbia. And then I can take care of all the cost after that. And the closer we get to the date, if crypto's doing really well, then Paige and I'll just pay for your tickets. We'll see. It's we don't really care about the money that much, right? We've got everything we want. We need to get this message out. Yeah. I'm waiting for the crypto too, man. Like, I have basically 250,000 ADA. So if ADA goes to $10, well, American, well, do the math. So yeah. It's going to be a pivotal year. Peter, do you own any crypto? Hmm. Absolutely. And if the universe wants something to happen, it'll happen. Yeah. And that's this community, right? This like-minded or like non-minded people. The power is in power. It is power, not willpower. So if we just stay in stillness, it'll all unfold. Oh my God, you're one of those. You're one of those. Oh, ouch. Oh, Paige, are you seeing this? I don't know how to pronounce it, but CNJ used to have 20 Bitcoins back in 2012, and then he sold it for weed. Oh. Peter said he also had quite a bit, and he doesn't want to think about it right now. So many people. My friend Derek, that's probably going to end up living here. He told me about Bitcoin too, like when it was maybe $100 or whatever, right? It was like, I just thought, well, it's silly video game money, right? But luckily I got in when I did get in. Well, Paige was the one that got in first. I hope the weed was good. Yeah.
But you can still buy it.
Yeah, it's not too late, guys. What's been going on with Cardano is like nothing. Like it's the one to rule them all. It's just that they've been silenced because it's taking away too much power, and I think everyone's trying to keep Cardano secret because it is the one to rule them all. Like, this is what fiat is going to give way to. Like, Argentina, I believe, is going to run its government on the Cardano blockchain. Like, they're so far ahead of everyone. They've even got the governance settled, right? Like, and they just hit 1 million transactions per second. It's the one to rule them all. ADA, yeah, ADA. I've been following Charles since 2018, and it's everything that the guy has said we're going to do, they've done it. It's never been down. I would sink as much money as you can into ADA and sell it in 10 months. I bet you'll 10x. This is not financial advice. Yeah, it's at least 10x. I keep throwing out the number $32. I think that it could hit $32, which would be a 30x from here in 10 months. So yeah. We'll all get rich and just come here and have a freaking Cardano community. I will never let anything drive my vehicle except me. Yeah, and you take the derivatives and it's more like freaking $500 trillion, because all the derivatives, it's all built on nothing, basically, just math. No, I think Tesla's probably going to keep doing all right, but it's not going to 30x. It's not going to 10x in 10 months. Yeah, that's right. It is a derivative. Again, the entire monetary system is metaphor of what's going on, right? It went from actual physical objects, gold and silver coins, physical, three-dimensional with weight, to paper, right? With numbers on it. So it went from three-dimensional with weight to two-dimensional with symbols on it. And now what's happening, it's even going away from two-dimensional. It's going to just digital, completely digital. There's no more physical representation of money at all, right? That's what they're moving towards. So it's just another metaphor of consciousness shifting its attention away from the physical sensual realm into the digital and thought realm. Wow. You're really an investor, aren't you? Nouveau Monde Graphite. Huh. Well, good. We'll all be rich, and you guys can all come move out here and build your house on my land. And then we'll build a big wall, a fence, and just practice and grow really healthy food and watch the world descend into madness as we're out here in Moksha. How's that for a plan? And a bunker. Yeah. 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 The bunker's coming in. Where's Rusty? We just need Rusty because that Rusty. And if Denissa showed up, that would be the whole gang. So we need to, Peter suggested this, is that we all have a Zoom meeting because it would be nice to finally, after all this time, put faces to the names, right? To develop more of a community. And you guys can chat more about that investment too. But yeah, so Peter, have you set up a Zoom call before? Because me doing this tech stuff is going to be a gong show maybe. Can you set it up or should I flail around and try to set it up? There's Rusty. There we go. Paige, Rusty's here now. The whole gang. The whole gang. I want to give everyone a big hug. Okay, well, so maybe if everyone sends their Zoom, how do I do this? We'll figure it out. But if you have Zoom names, then send them to my email address.
So now you need email addresses.
Email address. Oh. I'm so bad at all this. Okay, so that's my email address. So if you guys send your email addresses to that, then I can maybe set up a Zoom meeting. So Rusty's going to come out here and help build everything because he's the one with the skills for building. I'm taking charge here. I don't know. It's about time. I'm just telling all you guys what to do. Well, Rusty knows what it's like around here. He'll be like, yeah, man, like you will, once you come to central British Columbia, you will not want to leave because it's paradise, right? Everything, Rusty, everything that you have skills about is needed here. I mean, you could just be the maintenance guy here in this community, and that's your job, and you can just stay here for free and eat the food that we make and the fish that you catch. Yeah, that's a T, not an F. It does kind of look like an F, though, doesn't it? Uh, I'm even gonna set up a frisbee golf course, a disc golf course on our land. It's perfect for that. Yeah, Peter, how cold does it get? I bet you, like in Saskatoon, it got bitterly cold, like minus 40 at least, probably 5, 6 days out of every winter, we'd see minus 40 in Saskatchewan. But here, rarely do we see minus 30. Like this whole month of December, the average temperature is probably minus 5. It's really, really nice. Like even where Peter is, I bet you it gets colder than it does here. Yeah, we don't do Fahrenheit because it's only the backwards Americans that use Fahrenheit. So I'm talking Celsius. We have so much pasture for grazing, dude. Like in the back, I would say we probably have between 10 and 15 hectares that we could designate for just grazing. Dairy sheep. I was talking about dairy sheep.
You just need a fence.
We're going to build a fence. Last year, I cut down hundreds of trees to make fence posts with. So I have an auger for my tractor, so we can build our own fence. Minus 40 Celsius is brutal. Yeah, it's absolute. That's why we're so tough here in Canada. It's because we go through shit, right? We have seasons. But like I said, it rarely reaches minus 20 here. Very rarely. Like it's been raining the last 3 days. Yeah, so don't be too worried about it. It doesn't even really get Canada cold here, I would even call it. It certainly doesn't get Saskatchewan cold. Boo. You're trying too hard. Not bad, but yeah. No, I agree. I've never been a big fan of cows. Yeah, like if I didn't know there was even such a thing as dairy sheep, but I guess all mammals produce milk. How do you milk those things? I want bison in the back, but I don't think you can get milk bison. I've never heard of milk bison. That would be really sketchy trying to milk a bison, I think. So Peter is a chef, right? So come on. Wow. Yeah, well, when are you moving out here then? Get healthy and get your ass over here. No, I think that we're going to have bison. Can bison and sheep commingle? I don't imagine that bison and sheep are going to get in each other's way. But I'd really like to have bison in the back. Yeah. I have so many things to fix here. A big diesel truck, a diesel gator, a couple of zero-turn mowers. Well, yeah, you're going to end up here. I have a feeling. Well, are you a subscriber to the web page, like the website, One Step Path on Non-Conceptuality? Because I have a blog there. I do have an old book, like an actual paper book, but right now our freaking our postal service is on strike, so I can't mail anything. Downstairs, like in this place, there's storage. This is a 6,000 square foot house. So downstairs there's storage, a lot of storage space. I don't know how to send them things. Like just go to the website, right? I'm assuming that everyone here has looked at the website thoroughly, has gone through it many times. Nonconceptuality.org, right? .org, I think. I appreciate all of this, guys. This is about 15 years ago. I'm sure that most of you guys have heard the statement, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. Well, about 15 years ago, I wrote the reverse of that. I said, when the teacher is ready, the students will come. And I think I'm finally ready. So I think this is primed. It really is a different. It's a different level. Like you've reached a new level when the seeking is done, right? It's like, okay, I've got that figured out now. Like intellectually, conceptually, I get it. And now it's just practice now. Like it's like, oh, I finally found it. And now I just need to hold on to it. But most people have not found it, being the self. So even spiritual people, if they haven't found, if they're not deeply connected with the stillness, then they're still seeking, right? And that's the next level of spiritual advancement, is just all practice. Yeah, it's not I'm going to sit now and do a specific meditation practice, and then when the meditation practice is done, I go back to normal. No, everything is practice, right? And Rusty should know because he's on his second lifetime. Aren't you, Rusty? In this world. Peter, Rusty's actually died, so that's pretty cool. You know, a dude's serious about spiritual seeking when he says he's gone to India. Well, I'm hoping that this community is going to be self-sufficient, so we don't have to worry about making money. We can focus on just growing food, keeping the place up, building the place up, just doing simple menial tasks, and first and foremost, always the practice. Like, I would expect people to work only 3 or 4 hours a day, doing whatever chores they feel they want to do, as long as most of the spare time is dedicated to this practice. Yeah, it is amazing. And I have a float tank that's going to be operational. No, I think those of us who are here have recognized that we've probably done everything that we want to do, and that's why we're here. We're done, right? We recognize the inherent emptiness of all experience. It's nothing, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just inherently empty. So what's the point, right? Like, go to Mars and do all the things that you're going to do in life, but at the end of it all, it really, none of it meant anything. Really. What is the best dream that you've ever had compared to the worst nightmare you've ever had? Well, they're equally unreal, aren't they? When you wake up, it's just like, oh yeah, well, okay. Rusty, you've actually put some more thought into this than I have, I think. Is that a quote from someone, SS? Oh, no happiness in the world. Yes. Yes. Happiness is not found in the world. Yes, I get it. I thought you were saying there is no happiness. Yeah, I've been living here for 3 years now. Most of it, just about all of it, except for these last couple of months by myself, and it is utopia. That's why we've called it Moksha, Moksha Farms. It's Moksha. If, if we can grow fruit here, yes, let's do it. I know our plum tree, it's tiny, but it produces great plums. Do you have a place to put them? Nice. So there's fishing here, but there's a limit, right? So Rusty has all these nets, but I don't know how he uses them because we're in Saskatchewan, the only people that could throw down nets were like commercial fishermen or First Nations people. But at the end of the world, I'm sure that there won't be any law anymore. So whoever, I mean, this lake is 100 kilometers long. There's no shortage of fish in it, I think. Well, next year, a boat, maybe a couple of canoes and a boat as well. Yeah. Yeah. And what's so great is that once I get the 338 Lapua, this is what guys do, right? Like this is what Derek and I do sometimes is like actually plan out shit hit the fan scenarios. So if we could even put surveillance on the nets, because with a 338 in the tower, I can almost reach the other shore of the lake for frying. Anyway, hopefully it'll never come to that. Yeah, it's still legal. I went to the gun store yesterday to ask, and apparently the 338 Lapua in Canada is still legal to buy. So that's my baby. But the real thing that will have us secure here is the drones, right? I have a drone business. I have 2 drones that have 14-kilometer range and cameras that can zoom in on a freaking rabbit from like 100 meters up, right? So yeah. And I'm thinking about getting a drone that has like 150, 200-pound lift capability. And we've got a freeze dryer. So we are so set already. We just need more solar and a few more things. Like Rusty, you could, if you're well enough, you could get your advanced drone pilot's license and come work for me in my company. Scan wildfires for mapping and finding hotspots. Yeah, freeze dryer, $10,000 big freaking freeze dryer. Yeah. So the reason why I want you guys to show up in August is because that's when it's the selfish thing. That's when the Saskatoon berries are ripe. So yes, last year it was an amazing year for Saskatoons, and I picked almost 200 pounds. And we're working on freeze drying them all. Yeah, that's what we need, right? Is people that are willing to branch out and develop new skills. What is the capacity? It's got 7 drawers. So when it's a commercial sized. So when I'm done, when I pour out the water how many gallons? It would be probably 3 gallons worth of water we extract with every cycle. So we've got 7 trays that are that wide and that long. And it lasts for 25 years, right? So there you go. We will never starve. That's one thing that we will not do, this community, we will never starve. We might die from radiation poisoning or people trying to shoot us maybe, but we'll never starve. And that there is, so there has been a house, see right down there are pilings where a ready to move house can be put on. And there is already one on it. So there's already a spot for someone, if they want to just buy an RTM, throw it up there. It might be the cheapest way to get your own house on my property. Yeah, I know, Peter. You're gonna end up here, Peter. There's no worries about that. Someone's jogging on the road with their dog. Actually jogging. Wow. So should we So instead of a satsang next Sunday, should we make it a Zoom meeting so we can see each other and kind of get more of a closer community? Yeah. Peter's all about it. What about the rest of you? Well, I guess I can just do it and whoever shows up, shows up. But I have to invite, right? Like whoever's holding it has to invite people, right? Yeah, we can start. I'll start on time. So, okay. So whoever wants to be in the Zoom meeting can email me their contact at onesteppath@gmail.com. All right. And I'll try to flail around and see if we can get it to work. Okay. So it's 10 o'clock my time. What is the time? We're at Pacific or Mountain. What are we? Pacific time? Yeah, we're Pacific Standard Time. So it'll be 10 a.m. next Sunday, Pacific Standard Time. But I don't know how to do that, Rusty. Stop.
Or you could put Rusty in charge of it.
We'll try Zoom. I don't want to start something new if I don't have to. I should. Yeah, I should. Yeah, Denissa. Yeah. See, Denissa kind of has her own thing going on though, because there was one video back in the summer where she said that she was kind of given a message that she was going to be the leader of some sort of thing. So if she's got her own thing going on, then she can't really have two things going on. You know what I mean? Correct.
Just they have to send you.
But you have to send me, you have to have Zoom and you have to send me your Zoom. I think it's just your regular email, your contact Zoom name, so I can invite you. Yeah, that'll be great. I'll get to hear your voices and that'll be great. Mm-hmm. Peter even speaks Italian, so maybe he can show off a little. See you next weekend. It'll all make perfect sense soon, Peter. Everything that thought is created isn't going to last. It appears to me like the whole thing's collapsing simultaneously. The reason why countries expand is because a country is an ego, and ego is a Ponzi and a Ponzi requires constant growth. So ego equals Ponzi, country equals ego. Therefore, countries always need to expand and grow because it's an ego, because it's a Ponzi. The leader of a country that wants to expand doesn't even know why he wants to expand. It's because he wants to be known as a great conqueror or whatever. But fundamentally, it's because a country is a Ponzi scheme. It's an imagined entity that requires constant growth in order for it to exist because it's a Ponzi. And that's why all society is collapsing now. We can't fix the problem with humanity using the same system that causes the problem, right? Which is language. We don't recognize that language is inherently has nothing to do with reality. Language is exactly that, which is projecting the illusion. It isn't describing reality, it's describing the illusion. Yeah, to me, it's all part of the game. It's just where you put your attention. It's like there's a movie always being played in the waking state, and as soon as you pay attention to the movie, it appears real. So that's the test. Basically, the test is don't pay attention to this. I know it's very simple, and people don't want to be that extreme, but it's really that simple. It's presenting stuff to draw your attention away from self. And that's the game, is just remaining in self or having your attention drawn out. And the longer your attention is outwardly faced, the faster it seems as though the system speeds up, right? Samsara, the iterations of samsara seem to speed up. And now the Ouroboros is eating itself so fast that it's going to turn itself inside out. Yeah. It's all collapsing, right? It's all imploding or exploding or both at the same time. Whatever ploding you want to say, that's what's happening. I think it's, depending on what perspective, it's either exploding or imploding, but the system is unstable and it's done now. Yeah. And if science keeps going on the way it's going, build a more powerful microscope, build a more powerful particle accelerator, they're going to really destroy reality as we know it. Yeah, it's all about attention. Yeah. And learning, meditation is just learning how to focus your attention. That's all meditation is basically, right? The practice is just learning, finding the attention and being able to control it rather than just automatically looking at the loudest, shiniest, flashiest thing. This is the game. Maya is always trying to draw your attention away from self. That's the game. Yeah, so divinity, of course, isn't about changing the dream, making it a better dream. It's about transcending it all and not being affected by the dream at all. It's about being lucid while you're dreaming so you don't take any of it seriously. A nightmare can turn into a joke upon that realization, right? As soon as you become lucid in a nightmare, it's no longer scary. Yeah. So that's divinity. Divinity isn't being able to change and create miracles in this reality, in this fantasy. It's about living in the reality and not being affected by all of this. God is not affected by anything that happens. So I think, Solution Seeker, you're starting to find the is power, right? All of the power is in the stillness. And whatever manifests from that stillness is what's natural and part of evolution. So it's is power, not willpower. The will has no power. The is has all the power. Yeah, it's choice, free will, is a result of the illusion of a separately existing object that comes about from a choice, right? So a choice, the appearance of a choice, is just the projection of a separately existing object, right? A separately existing entity. So it's not even that there is or is not free will. It's there isn't even an individual from which to have free will. I've pointed this out to Federico. I would recommend this. These are all the tabs where his theory and my theory are in alignment. But I contacted him and I pointed out points where it's not in alignment. And that's one of them, is free will. His model requires consciousness to have free will. But even he knows that's not exactly right, because he always says a modicum of free will. So just the smallest little bit of free will, right? Yeah. So if he gets back, he said he was on a big book tour in Italy until December, and that if he would have free time in December to get back to me, if he's going to get back to me. So, but I think he's open enough to recognize the issues that I'm pointing out with his theory. He's not just going to block me like Bernardo Kastrup did, because he knows there's stuff inherently not quite right with his theory. And he says, he starts off with the axiom, the one wants to know itself, but that assumes a condition where the one doesn't know itself. So that's wrong too, right? Like, why, if the one is just pure awareness, there's no way that its natural state could be that of not knowing itself. So it must be a choice. That must be the free will. I'm showing him that the choice must be to either play the game or not play the game. There might be just one fundamental choice, and that's to play the game or not play the game. Right? So where his initial axiom is the one wants to know itself, I say the one wants to play with itself. Sorry, but yeah. Because any type of not knowing itself would have to be temporary. It'd have to be a choice. What else? It has to be temporary. It has to be a choice. Shoot, I can't remember the third one. But it's play, right? The choice is to temporarily forget the reality, to forget oneself as one does while they're playing. So I suggested to him that his initial axiom should be the one wants to play with itself, not the one wants to know itself, because the one always knows itself. We'll see. If Federico Fagin decides that my theory is the theory, then it's game on, right? That's it. That's the big break that this would need to get recognition. So yeah, I'm tweeting at him, and I've sent him, I think, is it 3 emails so far? So I can get a little bit and impatient, so I don't want to piss him off, right? The ball's in his court. That's all I gotta say is the ball's in his court. I really believe that he's open enough to see, hey man, this guy's onto something new. What's interesting though is that the Essentia Foundation, this is published by the Essentia Foundation, which is Bernardo Kastrup's thing. And they're trying to classify Federico's theory as being idealism, as fitting in with idealism, right? Because that's what Bernardo is all about. But it isn't. And Federico himself says, well, this isn't really an ism. So I know that Federico is probably not, he doesn't really agree that he doesn't want his theory to be thrust in with any ism. And I get it, right? So it's not, he should not be in alignment, I'm sorry, with Bernardo. He should be in alignment with me. Because Bernardo is a hamster on a wheel. And he actually quoted Ramana Maharshi once in this book. So he knows. He knows. He's also been on this journey for many decades, right? He's a spiritual seeker. He's not a philosopher. He's a spiritual seeker. Yeah, Bernardo and Langan were together and it clashed like freaking oil and water, didn't it? Bernardo was like, I don't want anything to do with that guy. It was really bad, wasn't it? They were both on, I remember, they were both on Kurt's show and it went horribly wrong. I don't think I could even stand talking to Bernardo because he would just be spinning in circles and I'd be like trying to get somewhere. It's like, all right, well, say something that means something, please. Yeah, I would suggest. It was quite a while ago, a couple of years ago, I think. See, I don't think Bernardo has a god in his model. And that's the thing about the CTMU is that at least the world's smartest man has figured out that a model of fundamental reality requires a transcendent whatever. It needs a transcendent reality / source. But because of Langdon's beliefs that he's a Christian and Christians can't say that they're God, right? So there's always going to be, if he doesn't drop his belief system, there will always be that final separation between self and the divine. So he will never find conclusion in his model because of his belief system. Bernardo thinks everything is meaningless. Yeah. Because they don't have that transcendent source. He's brilliant, but he just is lost in his own brilliance. He just says really intelligent things that mean nothing. In the end, they have no connection to my experience. So it's meaningless. What you're saying, Bernardo, is actually meaningless. But he doesn't want to talk to me about that because who's Roy Dobson, I guess. And Langan's minions won't let me get close enough to him, so. And I find that no matter how intelligent they think they are, they lack the ability to reason for themselves. They're always going back on what other people have taught them. And they believe that what they have been taught is the ultimate truth and factual. But you've got nothing to stand on because you're not talking about your direct experience. You're just remembering shit. So it's again, how does this apply to my life? How does your knowledge apply to your life to make it better, to decrease suffering? How has it done that? Well, and you also have to be open to the idea that there's a truth that's beyond academia. But we've just been brainwashed, right? Like the whole thing, Maya just has us, completely has us as a collective consciousness. So that's why I don't believe that we even can associate ourselves as human anymore. It's too late. Yeah, they're literally like it is when you look at it from a certain perspective, it's a cult. Because if you don't learn exactly and regurgitate exactly what we've taught you, you fail. You lose your money, you get kicked out of the cult. And you have to pay money to be in the cult, the honor of being in it. Right? And nothing outside is let in. So how is this not a cult? It just happens to be the biggest, most effective cult that's ever existed. All of academia, all of school. And that's why we're going to annihilate ourselves and all life on the planet. Because the whole fucking system's wrong. It seems to me like that Sabine, I can never remember her last name. She's the most watched scientific YouTuber, Sabine, whatever her name is. I think she's almost open to recognize how things are incorrect, that they're fundamental, right? She keeps talking about physicists just being out to lunch and how physics is basically dead. It's been dead for decades. So it's like, yeah, but are you willing to go deep enough? Like, do you really? Because obviously, if she came to this realization that all of math is basically incorrect, then holy shit, right? But it's really difficult to get to these famous people directly, right? Federico's the man, I hope. Because he leads with spirituality, right? He doesn't lead with physics and science. He leads with spirit. Yeah. Yeah. But she agrees with climate change, right? So we'll see. It'll start off with Federico, and then it'll work itself up to, in a couple, maybe next year, I'll be on Joe Rogan. We're at the heart of something really exciting. Like, it's still overwhelming when I think about the ramifications of all of this. So I think that we can reinforce our ourselves in this community and be not bold, but we're the ones who see the reality. Okay, so if we come across someone like, let's say, a physicist that's almost smug, right? It's like, we don't have to be timid and like, oh please, you know, I don't know how to put this. We should be the ones that are fully confident in our beliefs in this theory. So we're not going to be meek and mild and try to get along with these people. We're going to be bold, and we're not going to back down. We are the ones that are trying to show people the truth. And if they're not ready for it, that's fine. But this is the truth. I've tried, Rusty. I've tried all of these guys that are on the fence, like every single one of the guys that interviewed Federico, I have contacted. And no, it's so difficult to be an unknown and get your, like, it makes more sense. Like it's actually easier to understand than Federico's theory. But because Federico's invented all this stuff and, right, is a physicist, a well-known physicist that's got PhDs in inventions and shit, then they'll interview him, but they won't interview me. It's very, very difficult. It's so strange because it's so easy and so simple and really so obvious to explain to people. And yet it's very, very, very difficult to get this out. I get it because the language is so similar to every other crazy fucking crackpot that's come up and said how everything's wrong and I'm the only one, and right, like it sounds like Joseph Smith shit, like it really does, right? Oh, I'm the only one that's ever come up with this interpretation of this message from God. It sounds like I'm crazy because all the crazy people beforehand that have said this, but this time it's actually true. Like this time it actually is, believe it or not. Sorry, get through all your cynicism, but this is it. It's actually it this time. But they're too scared, right? They're just too scared. Kurt is too scared. That's all. Like he's interviewed people that have nothing as an argument. And he's talked for 7 fucking hours with these guys, some of them, that just keep saying, you're God, you're God, you're God. It's like, well, because it doesn't really threaten them because it didn't make sense. The problem is mine makes too much sense and it destroys all of their beliefs. So they can't go there. Yeah, I know. And I'm trying, they don't see how in the long run, this is the only way to do it. Like I've actually told Kurt, like we used to email back and forth and I was like, dude, you have to face this eventually, right? Like recognize how messed up you are. Like he has phobias and anxiety and can't sleep and blah, 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 like half the fucking people out there, but he just can't, right? He just can't, he can't do it. It's too bad because I'm really trying to help them. It's not just about me being a dick and saying, hey, you're wrong. When I say that, but I'm trying to help in my own dickish way. But on the other hand, wouldn't you want to be the one that reveals everything? Like on the other side of that is like, holy fuck. Kurt, don't you realize that if you just keep on with your little show there, it'll be mediocre. Like it'll be something. It'll be, you'll get views, but everyone will forget it. And in history, it'll just go down as another talk show or whatever the fuck, right? Mediocrity. But you have the opportunity to be the one, the greatest mathematician ever that proved how math was wrong. All of math. They don't understand. They don't see the opportunity that they're passing up. It's just the greatest opportunity ever. You could be the one that breaks this to the world. The greatest revelation in history. Simply put. And it is what it is, as they say. Oh, I'm not that subtle. I go in with a sledgehammer. Yeah, thank you, Rusty. Sometimes I feel like that when Frodo there said, "You don't understand, Sam. You don't understand." It's like, yeah, it's not something that I have to destroy, though. It's the opposite, right? I'm trying to reveal this to the world. I'm not trying to throw it into a burning volcano, right? I'm trying to share it with the world. But that has been a process too, of me letting go of all the rejection and just like, oh my gosh, like Jesus Christ is here again and no one's listening. The second coming is here and no one is even aware enough to even recognize it, right? The second coming will come and go without hardly anyone noticing except us. There's my bald eagle. And bless you for doing it, because I don't have the patience. But you know how to work it, right? I think that, yeah, thank you for doing that. Yeah. Well done. And you're brilliant enough that I think you can do it. And you get it. Like, you might be the one that breaks this into academia. RF? That's your theory name? Yeah, reality fractal. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, my middle name is Frank. You can't work a D in there, can you? Well, gang, I think I'm going to tap out. So it's great for everyone to finally meet Peter. And next weekend, hopefully, we can put some faces and some voices to the names. And then we can work towards actually building a community here. Yeah, it's great. It's all really coming together. All right, gang. Send me your email addresses and we'll see you next week at 10 a.m. on Sunday.